Uh, Good evening and welcome to the Marty Heiser Show. We're happy you're here. I'll tell you, I think about stuff sometimes. I was watching 60 Minutes about 10 years ago, and they had this segment on abortion clinics in India. And what they had was they had an ultrasound sort of storefront right next door to an abortion clinic. And the women there, if they were pregnant, they would go in to get their ultrasound. And if they found out that they were carrying a female baby, why, they would go right next door to the abortion clinic and have that child aborted. I thought how reprehensible that is, how backward that is, how misogynistic, how anti-women that is. It was terrible. Fast forward to this past weekend, and I'm embarrassed to say, because I fancy myself somewhat of a Christian, but I'm trying to be transparent because you, the viewers of this program, I just want to be honest and upfront. I went to see, with my college-aged daughter and son, who's in the Navy, so I think he can handle it, I went to see the movie The Dictator. Yes, that comedy, you've seen the trailers for it, Josh Cohen or something like that, Bruno, and he did all these other things. I don't know, I get into that kind of humor. And this was this backwards third world dictator as he plays in the movie. And one scene in the movie, this is a comedy, you gotta understand. The woman's having a baby spontaneously in some kind of a grocery store. And the dictator, who is down on his luck and he's working in this grocery store, helps to deliver the child. And the child is born, and the dictator holds it up and says, "Oh, it's a female. Where's a trash can so we can throw this out?" And I thought back to that 60 Minutes segment in India where they talked about the women going to have an ultrasound, and if it was a woman or a child that's a girl, they would have it aborted. Then I thought of that movie. Of course, we all know what goes on in China. In some of those communities right now, there's so many more men than there are women because the babies are aborted. And then I think about the United States of America. And I say, aren't we glad that we're progressive? Aren't we glad that we're enlightened? Aren't we glad that nothing like that would go on in our country? And yet this past week, I see a hidden video in a Planned Parenthood in Austin, Texas. Yes, Texas, the buckle of the Bible Belt, where a woman comes in and says, how can I abort my baby after I find out if it's a boy or a girl? And the personnel, the staff from the Planned Parenthood there in Austin, Texas says, oh, we'll just plan your ultrasound at such and such a date after 20 weeks or whatever it is, and come on in and we'll take care of it. How terrible that is. Is that really the best we can do as Americans? Have we really sunk to that level, to the level of a comedy movie, to a level of what we see in India and some of these other countries where we go tisk, tisk, tisk? Is that really what we've come to? And I get it politically. Oh, Republicans, oh, you conservatives, you stay out of my decisions, stay out of my health care. I get it. As Republicans, we're a little concerned about the mayor of New York saying you can't have a 16-ounce sugared soda. We don't want anyone impinging on our rights at all. And yet all of a sudden on this whole issue of abortion, where now we have gender selection in Planned Parenthood in Austin, Texas, in the United States of America. We said that that's just not right. It's not right. We can do better. As Americans, we can do better. Is that really what it's come to? This love affair with death? This wanting to select the sex of a child? Is that what it's come to? I don't know. I'm a little concerned about that, and I just strung that all together. Abortion clinics in India, this goofy dictator movie, and now what I've seen with a hidden video in America. It's a shame. It's really, really a shame. And I think more and more people are coming to realize that. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. We've got a hot show. We have a young man that's running for the 1st Congressional District. And by the way, these rants that I have, these are my rants. They're not necessarily the views expressed by Comcast Cable, its owners, its subscribers, or certainly not my guest, although he might agree. I don't really know. I hadn't gotten into it yet. But I just want to welcome to our studio John Decker. I want to thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for letting me, rant a little bit. I just, my psychologist says it's good to just get it off my chest.
Get it all out. It's in the news right now. It's in the news. The Kochs, You know, I personally believe that the Coke situation with Mayor Bloomberg probably will forever ruin any chance he wants to run as a candidate. I mean, what type of control does that say he wants to have? I mean, I was shocked. I mean, it's just not something anyone that has aspirations or it just doesn't make sense. I mean, that is the definition of big government, saying you cannot select the size of Coke that you can drink.
Yeah.
And that's the direction our country's going. Bigger government, more intrusive government, taking away our personal freedoms and decisions.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and some of this stuff, I hope not that many people watch this show. I think people, maybe they do. But there are regulations. I'm in all things in the painting business. And there are new EPA regulations coming down the pike where if you power wash a house, you're supposed to collect all the water that's used while you're spraying water on a house. I'm not sure exactly how you would do that. I think you have to like put, you know, plastic tarps around and catch the water or something like that. These are regulations imposed by some, you know, needle-headed bureaucrat in Washington, D.C., and it's telling us how we have to run our businesses, how we have to run our lives, what size the soda is that we're allowed or not allowed to drink. It seems a little intrusive.
Marty, that is exactly why, despite spending trillions of dollars, we have the slowest economic recovery in history because of the regulations that this administration supported, you know, right by John Larson, my opponent in November. That is why we can't get out of our own way. We spent trillions and trillions of dollars, $1.3 trillion deficit this year, 1.9 is Obama's first year. More regulations than any administration ever. We have an EPA that is coming around and circumventing Congress with regulations, stifling business. That's why we can't get out of our own way and have a solid economic recovery that is hiring jobs.
I'll tell you, the classic example of that, and it's got a nice little title that's, you know, easily for public consumption, but the Keystone Pipeline. I mean, my wife is Canadian. I've got 5 brother-in-laws up in Canadian. Canada is a lovely country. They generally drink beer and like to watch hockey on TV, but they're lovely people. Wouldn't you want to give our billions and billions of dollars that we spend on fuel and in this country, wouldn't you much rather give it to Canada, a peaceful neighbor, than to send it over to the Middle East?
Absolutely. I mean, think about what that does, too, the message it sends to Canada. We have a strategic reserve that we need, that we've been dependent on. In fact, the Department of Energy was founded in 1977. And the sole purpose of that Department of Energy was to get us off dependency of foreign oil.
Right.
So what do? Now it has 16,000 employees. It has a budget of $25 billion a year. And we're more dependent than ever upon foreign oil. So we have a chance to take oil from the Bakken fields to southern Canada and North Dakota. And now we turn it away. They act like constructing a state-of-the-art pipeline is something that we can't do. We have thousands of miles of pipeline across this country. So what do? We send a bad message to Canada, our neighbors, right above us, one of our best partners. We give a strategic reserve away to China that's going to build a pipeline now from, you know, the Bakken fields in Canada all the way over to Vancouver, and they're going to take it over there.
I know. You can reroute a pipeline. They have options.
They're doing
here.
it. And the worst part about it, now we're going to take wealth out of our pockets that we could have here in America with these jobs, and we're going to send it to foreigners in the Middle East, a lot of them that don't even get along with us like us, giving them our money.
Yeah.
It makes no sense at all. And you know the worst thing about it is gas prices are one of the most regressive taxes on a lower income individual.
Yeah, it's true.
We all have to drive. We all have to buy gas for our cars. We have to pick up our kids. We have to go to our jobs. We have to go to the schools, run around the community, do shows like this, whatever it may be. We have to drive.
Right.
You only have so much disposable income, particularly in this economy.
Right.
If you pay $2 of gas, $3, $4, the higher it goes up, the more aggressive, the less disposable income you have, slowing down the economy.
Yeah.
It was a no-brainer.
Okay, listen, before we get into all this about it, I want people to know in this vast television audience who you are. I mean, what is motivated? You seem like an intelligent guy. You seem like you have a bright future. You have children ages 10, 6, and 5, girl, boy, girl. You have a lovely wife. I saw you at the convention when you gave the speech. What has possessed you to decide to throw your hat in the ring in the 1st Congressional District in Connecticut, which is a pretty tough sledding for Republicans, clear-thinking, business-minded Republicans? What made you decide to throw your hat in the ring for this? You
know, the first thing I tell you is not something I ever envisioned myself doing. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a politician. In fact, I have a certain frustration with our current politicians. You know, and really in both parties sometimes. I mean, the spending, the waste, the continued just budget deficits, all the taxes, everything with Washington right now. I just got so frustrated. And I started to speak up about it. And it started with a letter that I actually sent to President Obama, copied my opponent, John Larson, 3 years ago. And I included a copy of Aesop's fable, Killing the Golden Goose. And basically I said that what they're doing is they're taking away the incentive to work by taxing us, and they're killing the golden goose by taking all the money from us. And I used my own personal income tax returns. I used myself as a real example.
Okay.
One person saw the letter. They asked permission they could show to one other person. They did. Next thing I know, I'm running for U.S. Congress. And it just really grew out of frustration, because I think the average person at home, the family, the small business owner, is just starting to just get so frustrated what's going on in Washington right now that it's time to get back to Citizens Congress, time to get back to people that actually are real representatives, not career politicians.
Now, are you a rich, out-of-touch Republican that's backed by Wall Street financiers or something along those lines?
No, I'm probably the opposite of that. Even though I'm a certified financial planner, there's no way I'm in that category. I'm someone that's in your neighborhood. My wife and I, we have 3 great young kids. We are both in the community. I'm a deacon of my church. I'm a treasurer of my church. I'm on the board of directors, Business for Downtown Hartford. There are just so many things that I do within the community. I coach youth sports. I coach 3 basketball teams. I'm just the type of person that is your neighbor, and that's all I want to be. I think that's what we need to get back in Congress. We need individuals that are like your neighbors, to get back to more people in Congress that are mechanics or doctors or financial planners, hopefully, whatever it may be, but real people in the community.
2 weeks ago, we had Linda McMahon on the program, and it's often quoted how much money she spends on her campaigns, and people feel like she's this wealthy woman, which she's done very well for herself.
Yeah, no, and she shouldn't be ashamed of her success. She filed bankruptcy and she built her business back up. That's the American dream, that if you work hard and have a goal and you succeed, you shouldn't be embarrassed by it.
Yeah, the story.
But I'm not like she is. I do not have the money that she is. I'm not self-funding or anything.
Okay. So, we're going to put your website up. By the way, the phone number here is 438-2003. If you have questions, if you think we're off base, if you're out there saying, oh boy, there you guys go again, don't hesitate to call. The number again is 438-2003. We'll put you right on the air. But she tells a story about how she was pregnant. They had to file for bankruptcy. Right. She was going to meet her husband down at the bankruptcy court. She gets up, tries to start her car, and it won't start. Calls the tow truck. She says, I've got to get down to this bankruptcy court. We got to go. The tow truck guy says, well, here, hop in, I'll give you a ride. So she gets down to court in the passenger seat of a tow truck, comes out pregnant with her bankruptcy filing under her hand, and there's her husband going like this is some sort of country music song.
It's like I'm back in school in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah. Now, just a couple of things I heard about you, because I did some
I make fun of my state, just for going to school.
But now you were raised in and around Washington, D.C. by a single mother.
That's correct.
And it wasn't all, there was no silver spoons in anyone's mouths. We're talking about you. You had, at one point, you talked about this in a speech you gave or somewhere on TV about your electricity was cut off, you've been mugged. What are some of these human interest things?
You did your research.
Oh, listen, we got a crack team. I've got this photograph, Fort Lauderdale, 1989. Never mind. We'll talk 92, about that later.
92.
Okay.
My parents divorced when I was very young. I was very fortunate to be raised by actually different parts of my life with my both parents. And I grew with my mother during the school year, and I lived with my father during the school vacations, Christmas and spring break, summers spent with him. And my father supported us what he could, but raising a family, my brother, sister, and I in D.C. My mother, she worked 2 jobs. It was difficult. The cost of living in D.C. is very, very high. And there are times we could not afford all our utilities. So there's no doubt about it that we struggled. And my brother and I actually, times we had to joke that when we hitchhiked to school, we literally did. And you always hear the stories about walking to school in bare feet, but there are times when we moved my senior year, I did not want to change high schools again. So we moved out of the school district.
How many times did you change high school?
A couple times. It's a couple elementary schools, a couple middle schools, and then I did not want to change schools again when we had to move out of the Bethesda Chevy Chase High School District. We lived in Kensington, Maryland. So my senior year, I made the conscious decision that I would take it upon myself to get to school to be there. So I did, and there were times that we'd take the public bus, or we'd have to hitchhike. We couldn't afford the bus or whatever it would be. Sometimes we'd even tear $1 in half and try to trick the driver, but. Yeah, but I worked through high school. If you go to my website, Decker 2012, I actually put on a couple of my paychecks where I worked full time. I worked 30 and 37 hours a week in high school. Why go into a full-time high school student?
What was your job?
I worked at a like a Heiser dairy store, a convenience store, kind of like a Cumberland Farms.
Okay,
But we had more ice cream and stuff like that.
What is, it's funny because I think Republicans get a bad name. Like somehow we're like the party of the rich guys. All Republicans I know are guys like you. Growing up hitchhiking, cutting, ripping dollar bills in half to get on the public bus. Guys like me, I got a painting business. That's what I did. I would go around in high school and just kind of kept going and kept working at it. It seems like the Democrats are, the limousine liberals,
That's right.
that got these guys like, who's the Massachusetts guy, John Edwards? He's got these big,
John Kerry.
Or John Kerry. Oh, John Edwards. Don't get me started on him. I mean,
he's in the news today.
Yeah, he's got the news today. But he's got these huge houses. Al Gore's got this, 45,000 square foot house, and he's telling me about my carbon footprint?
Unfortunately, that party in particular, the way they seem to get ahead is to try to vilify and look at others and try to find the one example and then have use that one and really put everyone in that same category, which is the wrong thing to do because they want to make sure that the one person that is that rich, well-off person, if they want to use Lynn McMahon as an example here in Connecticut, whatever it may be, that we're all like that, which is wrong.
Yeah.
Again, my wife and I, we live in West Hartford, Connecticut. We have a modest house. I mean, we bought it in 2000. We recently added on to it. We didn't want to buy the big house and have the big mortgage.
Right.
So I mean, it's very wrong to stereotype people, and I think that's wrong with that's why I actually want to run as a candidate. I don't want to run solely as a Republican. I want people to understand who I am. That's why I actually look forward to debating John Larson. I hope John Larson will debate me numerous times. I hope we have a debate in Torrington to Cromwell to East Windsor, all across the 1st Congressional District, where people actually see who I am as a candidate, who he is, and I think the distinction between who he is and who I am is very clear. I mean, I'm obviously for personal religious freedoms. I'm obviously for limited government, more personal responsibilities. You look at what the laws of this administration, echoed by John Larson, what they've done, it amazes me.
Yeah.
But he's a career politician. He's been there 14 years. It's a safe seat for him. And I think he deserves to be challenged.
I'm telling you, it could be. I got 2 words for you. Scott Brown.
That's correct.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't get more liberal than Massachusetts. You can't get more liberal. Wasn't it Barney Frank's district that he
Ted
won
Kennedy.
in?
Ted Kennedy.
Ted Kennedy's.
Ted Kennedy's seat.
But he won Barney Frank's congressional district is within that Senate seat for Ted Kennedy. You can't get more liberal than that. But I'm telling you,
you haven't seen the 1st Congressional District. It's
pretty low.
It's a tough district. Okay. There's no doubt about it. But it doesn't mean I shouldn't try, and that's why I'm in this race, because I believe that you always have to do your best. You can't just sit back and just always complain about something. I'm so frustrated by the spending and the waste in Washington, our budget deficit, our debt that we're running as the federal government. I can only talk to you about it so many times. I can only talk to my clients about it so many times.
Yeah.
But if I don't step forward and try to actually create awareness about it or do something about it, what have I really accomplished? Nothing, right? I mean, we can all complain about things. It's the people that step forward. And what I've said before is that I personally believe that at some point in each individual's life, you must have the courage to step forward, despite the risk, and speak up when you think something is wrong or broken. And Washington's broken. We need to do something about it now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it was interesting because we had this roundtable discussion. This guy reaches into his wallet and gets a dollar bill out, and he's going, something about the Federal Reserve this or something, something on the dollar bill, and this is wrong, and this is, the problem. We got to, print more money or whatever he was saying. And I said, well, I got something in my wallet too. And I pulled my wallet out and I took out my pictures of my kids. And I said, the American dream that we've benefited from, the opportunity to know that your kids are going to have a better economy, a better opportunity for life than we've had, is being evaporated by this debt that we're putting on them. It's unconscionable. I mean, 42 cents out of every dollar that the government spent is borrowed. Is borrowed money.
We paid
and we're heaping that on your kids, my kids, our grandkids.
It's us today. It's past our kids and our grandkids. It's us today. Yeah. I'm 45 years old. There is no way Social Security will be the same, what's promised to me today. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you look, anyone that's watching the show, if you look on your next Social Security statement, which you get 3 months before every birthday, right, it says, here's your anticipated benefit. If you look on it now, they've simply reduced it in small print below what that monthly benefit is. It says, although it is anticipated it will be 73% of your current benefit stated above by the time we get to 2033. They're already preparing you on that statement, telling you will not get 100% of that benefit after 2033. So they're already reducing that.
Yeah.
So our debt, we go into debt $4.2 billion a day we add to our debt.
Yeah, it's frightening.
We paid $454 billion last year in total interest on our debt. Think what we could do with $454 billion. Reduce taxes, do real economic growth stimulus plans.
Yeah. All right, let's talk politics, just raw politics. Okay, this is what I hear. I'm just going to be up front. I don't know you that well, but I'm going to lay my cards on the table. They're saying you don't got a chance in heck in the 1st Congressional District in Connecticut. You know, what are you going to do to get your name out there, to get people to listen to what you have to say and to break the lock that union organizers and the state Democratic voting blocs are going to have a chance to,
It's going to take a lot of work. I've got to do a bunch of things. I've got to, the first thing I have to do is I have to articulate a clear message. I've got to make people understand that how much debt we really have, how much $1 trillion is, how much $16 trillion is, and how much we're going to debt every single day. I have to articulate a vision that, and get back, and this is something that everyone will relate to. Listen to Barack Obama and listen to Mitt Romney. Listen to the differences in messages. I was in eighth grade when Ronald Reagan was elected our 40th president.
Right.
I remember how he talked about what America could be, what it stood for, the values and ideals of our country, what it meant to be an American.
Yeah.
Where do you hear that today from this administration? It's not echoed. It's about envy and jealousy, putting Americans versus Americans. That's not the America we grew up in. I want to get back to being a candidate that talks about how great we can be if we get out of our own way. We've got to get back to being the country, that beacon of light, as you used to say, standing for freedom, standing for the pursuit of happiness. We're not doing that today because what we're doing is we're just creating entitlements. We're making people dependent upon us. We're saying that you're not good enough, we're going to take care of that. It's like the stark difference. If you look at a capitalistic society and socialism or even communist society, if you're a person and you walk out and you see someone's success, you're like, wow, I can do that. I want to be like that, right? And how can I do that? You go work. If you're a socialist or a communist or whatever term you want to use in that, and you say, hey, I want that. How come I don't have that? That's not fair. Give it to me.
Yeah.
That's the direction we're going. It's not right.
I'm telling you, the American people, the idea is, you're standing on a street corner and you see a nice guy go by in a shiny Corvette. And the American, the free capitalist, free enterprise, individual, rugged individualism, the American says, hey, I'm going to work double hard.
I can do that. That's right.
Get me one of them. And then what we have now with the Democrats and all this, politics of envy is, what did that guy? He's one of the 1%ers. We got to tax him.
You should
more.
drive an electric car, Volt.
Yeah, you should drive an electric car. I mean, Ronald Reagan, he's one of my heroes too. I love when he said, right now you could say the Obama administration or the Democrats and the liberal Democrats, they say, if it moves, tax it.
That's right.
If it keeps moving, regulate it. Think of all these regulations. And then if it stops moving, subsidize it.
Right.
That's exactly what you've seen with with all the car industry and the banking industry and Solyndra. Solyndra's a perfect example. I mean, it's like crony capitalism where you give money to the Obama,
the bigger problem that people don't talk about, the way I see the Solyndra problem, is you have a government that's saying we are better at investing than private capital. Because if you keep giving companies money,
Solyndra, if I gave you $550 million, could you make a nice little factory with some great bushes in front and stuff like that, and then
LCD
produce
screens in the urinals? I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, and then they could produce solar panels that you could sell them for $6 a panel. The only problem is you can already buy them on the open market for $3. So it makes no sense at all, except for the bundler who put together this money for Obama's re-election campaign. Right. He comes out smelling like a rose with our taxpayer dollars.
Now think on a broader scale what it does, though. And this is what's dangerous and people don't talk about and they realize. If you are a private investor, if you are an entrepreneur, an innovator, someone that believes in the free markets or capitalism, and you say, you know what, I can do that better, more efficiently. You'll go start that business if you know you can get a return on investment. But no one's going to do that because they believe that a government's going to come in and subsidize them, a competitor to them, and knock them out of business. So where's the innovation going to come from? The government keeps subsidizing these startups that fail.
Well, luckily for us, we have the highest corporate tax rates in the world, 39%. Caller, do you have a question for this fine young man who's going to try to win the 1st Congressional District?
Well, first I want to say that baby Jesus loves the 99%. And then after that, I want to ask you guys, where did the government get the money to lend to Solyndra? That's my question.
Excellent question.
Where did the government get the money to finance Solyndra?
Excellent question. Thank you so much. We're on the lightning round here. We're closing out, but in 30 seconds or less, where the heck did they get the money?
Two places only. They borrow it from China and the rest of the world, or they tax us.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, there's one more.
Oh, what's
they
that?
turn on the printing press.
Oh, that's true,
They
too.
can,
Yes,
they can
I'm
just,
sorry.
Bernanke or whoever can sit there with their thing. And I saw it on TV. He says, hits a thing. We just added to the,
You're right.
the currency flow.
Yeah, no,
So
you're
you can
absolutely correct.
more
They print,
money,
and they've done that.
Borrow more money or take it out of the taxpayer's hide. And,
That's right.
and we're getting taxed too much. And Connecticut is the highest tax state. I think our tax freedom day is like May 5th or something like that.
Listen, and you bring up a really good point about printing money and how dangerous that is and what it does to our dollar.
Yeah.
And it causes real inflation. The price of goods that everyone has to buy, your gas, your utility bills, your food, they go up in price. And that's the toughest thing, again, for that lower income person that has to vote in the 1st Congressional District.
Yeah. All right, if someone wants to get in touch with you, here we go. It's up on
there. It is.
What would you say, and what are you looking for people to do? How can people help you out if they want?
Obviously, you can go to my website and learn a lot more about me. We are going to need contributions. We're going to need volunteers. It's going to take a lot of effort. I'm hoping that people, they watch this show, they either want to contribute or help, and they tell their neighbors, hey, there's a candidate up there that is like me, like I am. And I want to help, or they're going to tell their people to vote for them. They know people that live in the 1st Congressional District. It is going to have to be a grassroots message. As you said, I'm going to have to get out there and work hard. I'm going to have to knock on a lot of doors, and I'm going to have to do a lot of events and shows like this and try to get my message out there, because when you go after the leader of the Democratic caucus, you just don't win that in a seat that has been Republican since 1956.
All right, I got to put this guy on. We have a minor celebrity, and he could be of some help to you. Bob McGuffey. If we can get a shot of this, Frank. This is Bob McGuffey. He's calling in. Bob, you know John Decker, and what advice do you have for him running in the 1st Congressional District?
Oh, I did meet John at the convention. Oh, go get him. Just challenge Lawson. Just challenge Lawson. That's what you. We've done it in town halls, and I think Ann Brickley got him good in the debates last time. But of course, he's got a lot of innate entrenched power in that district. But they need to be thrown off their game. You need to come at them with a tax they're not expecting and put them on the spot and make them answer. That's what's got to be done. A little jiu-jitsu against this guy.
Now listen, is your association's going to get behind John and help him, knocking on doors, things like that?
Well, I think Tea Party people like John. I heard good things about him at the convention. We'll certainly try to organize folks and get folks in the different districts, put their hand up, I want to help somewhere, and then we point them around. So, definitely. And I'm sure John knows the local, tea leaders in the Hartford area.
Well, listen, Bob, when this guy becomes Connecticut's Scott Brown, you're going to look silly if you weren't behind him from the beginning, like I am here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. John's a good candidate.
All right,
Lawson can be had. I mean, when you need a strategy in the cities, and you need to throw him off his game and make him answer to stuff. But he's supporting Obamacare, and the mandate that's going against religious liberty. And that's a big fissure that you can drive into his base, because they take a lot of the Catholics for granted. They had them in the last time around, and you can make him have to defend that. And I actually have a package that I can send John on that. Anytime I'll send it up to him.
All right, Bob. In 30 seconds or left, give us a report on what's going on in the rest of the state, and what are you seeing out there? Scott Walker in Wisconsin seems to be coming around nicely. What are you seeing out there on the streets?
Well, I mean, we sure were. A lot of people went to Scott Walker. I sent him money. We're doing phone banking from around the country from him. I sent a solicitation out for that. So you can phone bank from your own house. Anybody listening to this right now that wants to help, just Google Scott Walker, get on his website, and you'll see how you can phone bank from your house in Connecticut, and they'll give you a list to download and people to call. The big thing tomorrow, we're going to be down in New Haven. There's something called the People's Center, which is the locus of activity for the Communist Party in this state. And the city is...
Are you going to be selling tickets to this encounter, or Scott McGuffey and the Tea Party meets the Communist Youth Brigade? Film at 11.
Tomorrow, 11:30, there's going to be a press conference because the city's trying to give them
They are. They're trying to rebuild the building down there.
$340,000. to upgrade their building, a freaking communist center. And so Glenn Suzio is going to be down there doing a press conference in the state center. We're going to be down there backing him up.
It's an amazing
saying
story.
No way.
Bob, you're the best. Don't ever change.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
All right.
All right,
take
thanks
care.
a lot. Talk to you soon. Well, listen, we've gone over, but I want to thank you so much for coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me
Really
in.
appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing you
By
again.
golly, I wish you all the luck in the world. November's right around the corner, and you never know. Maybe people have finally got to the point where they said, you know, we're back in the communists in downtown Hartford. Enough is enough. We're Americans. You know, we don't have to count on the nanny state for everything to tell us what size our soda can be and you know what we're going to do. So
We beat him in East Berlin, right?
that's right. Thanks again for coming in, and come back and see us again.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we have some delightful people from a company called Kivana with a Q, but there's no U after. It's very interesting.
Small
but they have
business
some
owners, right?
small business owners, and these people have some wonderful material, and they're going to tell us all about it. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
In this state, there are no extras, no fluff, no frills, no free lunch, no second helpings, no streets paved with gold, no promise, no certainty. In this state, life is a bitter struggle to survive with the least. It's home to 1 out of every 11 families in America. It's home to 1 out of every 6 children in America. It's home to more than 32 million people. It's the state of American poverty. And if you were poor, you'd be home by now.
Why is it you two have so much trouble communicating?
I don't like the way he talks to me. He doesn't have to use that kind of language.
All I said was that you had a big osteo fight. Oh, okay. Well, what about the secrets you kept from me?
Oh, so I didn't tell you about my drug allergies. Big deal.
That could have been nasty.
Ooh. Okay. So how come I always have to go to your place?
I'd be happy to come to you, Judith. I can't fit the X-ray machine in my car. How's your shoulder doing anyway?
Fine.
Yeah?
I worked up to 3-pound dumbbells yesterday.
Really? Huh. Just 3 weeks after surgery. That's pretty good.
Yeah?
Communication is the best medicine. A message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
Well, now we're getting somewhere. Group hug?
Hi, I'm Major Samantha Weeks. I get to live my dream every day of being an Air Force fighter pilot and flying the most advanced aircraft in the world. Before I could ever climb into the Thunderbird F-16, I had to prove my flying skills through intense training, hard work, and determination. The road to my goal was long and challenging, but the reward is out of sight. You too can live your dream and accomplish anything when you set your mind to it.
I thought indoor tanning was safe. They said their tanning rays were less likely to cause a sunburn.
What you need to know is UV light from indoor tanning can cause
Premature aging, including wrinkles, sagging, and age spots.
So instead of making you look cool, it can make you look
old.
And even worse, UV light can increase your risk of skin cancer, including melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer.
Especially when exposed at an early age.
And treatment can be surgery, and sometimes even chemotherapy and radiation.
In fact, current estimates are that 1 in 5 Americans develop skin cancer.
And one person dies from melanoma about every hour.
I don't want to be one of them.
I don't want to be one of them. I don't want to be one of them.
This message brought to you by the American Academy of Dermatology.
I'm telling you, indoor tanning is not as safe as you think. In fact, indoor tanning is totally out.
Welcome back to the show. You know, I just get inspired by young men like that. What he didn't talk about is where he played, walked on and played football for Barry Switzer at University of Oklahoma out there, where he famously said he wants to have a football program, or he wants to run a college that the football program can be proud of. They're pretty big into football out there in Oklahoma. So, John, I wish you well. We're joined now by Chris Cavadon.
Yes.
Thank you so much. When I extend my hand, you are to shake it. Thank you.
Okay.
And Daniel Rich.
Yes.
Thank you
Nice
so
to
much.
meet you.
And the company that you guys represent is Kivana.
Kivana.
I was thrown off because usually there's a U after the Q, but I guess this is like a hybrid.
It is.
And basically, well, why don't you explain to the vast viewing audience what it is, what are the benefits, and how people can get involved. But first, why don't we talk a little bit about the benefits of the things that you sell?
Sure, Marty, I'd love to. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure.
I think we all get to a point where we realize, with all the political scenarios that we just saw, and big fan of what John had to say.
Right.
But at the end of the day, health is what really matters to all of us. You know, for me, this became very true or in the forefront when 2 years ago I was playing golf with my 58-year-old brother, who I think the world of, very successful entrepreneur, worked his tail off his whole life. We talked about how we're going to spend the latter years of his life, and had a heart attack and died that night, and next morning my mother says he's not here. So if you don't have your health, I think everything else is a detail.
Yeah.
And Kivana has 3 product systems that greatly improve the quality of people's lives. I don't care who you are. As you age, certain maladies come all our way. Our metabolism starts to slow down. Our blood pressure starts to get a little unstable. Cholesterol levels can rise. And Kivana has systems that, in a 100% natural way, can address these maladies. And the results are really extraordinary.
Now, okay, when you say like 100% natural, these aren't, what are these pills you take? Is it packets of food, an exercise regime? What are we talking about here?
Well, there are 3 different systems, and each system is catered to a particular specification. So the first system would be the core system. It first improves digestive health, and then is a general, an overall general product. There are adaptogenic herbs in there that help to lower cholesterol levels, help to regulate blood pressure, help to deal with stress and fatigue under the current economic conditions we're all facing. This is a product that is done wonders.
I smoke cigars. That takes the edge off for me.
That's probably not the best way to go.
It tends to mellow me right out.
I know it does, but I'll tell you. Hey, I'm with you with the Cohiba.
Okay. I don't know if you know.
But this core system that Kivana has is a natural way, as I said. There's no synthetic anything in this.
Right.
These are adaptogenic herbs. They're well documented. There's 5,000 research papers on what these herbs have done, for a number of decades. And if anybody, looks into that, they get wildly impressed.
Okay, Daniel, what's your experience been with this company? Are you a representative? Do you sell the product? Do you use the product? What's it meant for you?
My husband and I got involved about a year ago, and we first came in to be independent business owners, as well as try the products. And when I heard what the products could do for my husband, 51 years old, ex-semi-pro football player for the Connecticut Giants. He was Mr. Connecticut. He was a bodybuilder for many years. Never touched drugs, but the problem was all the years.
On another level, muscle-bound guys, attractive to women? Is that
absolutely?
Really? Well, how do guys like
and we
us
have a product
chance?
for that now. Yes.
Yeah, actually, I went on your website. I saw some of the pictures. I mean, first of all, like when I see these pictures of like guy in pretty good shape and then like unbelievably cut guy, I always say I'd be welcome. Yeah, I'd take the first half of that, let alone the guy with the washboard abs. We just had a call. If you want to try calling back in, 7875, we'll put you right on. Yeah, by the way, the phone number is 438-2003. If you've had experience with Kivana or have any questions for our guests, don't hesitate to call in. So the myth of if you're too muscular, girls don't like you, that's a myth. Is that right?
Some women like the skinny guys. I prefer a little more muscle.
Okay, all right, just wanted to get that settled. Okay, so you and your husband, he's
so
athletic
51 years old. We live in Killingworth. There's a lot of Lyme disease going on in the area. And he also was stricken with really devastating arthritis, osteoarthritis. And they first thought it was rheumatoid. And so we put him on the core system. And we had tried everything. I mean, I'm talking raw milk, all the kinds of stuff that's alternative, shipping in cod liver oil, going to doctors all over, traditional and alternative. And he refused to get on a pharmaceutical called Enbrel because it was just too much, the side effects. So we put him on the core, and it's been great for him.
And there's been benefits.
It's been, say it again?
There have been benefits from being on the core.
Huge benefits. He can actually, at night, doesn't have the throbbing in his shoulders where he couldn't sleep on his side.
Yeah.
Just better sleep and just better recovery after working all day. He's in construction. He feels fantastic, and his pain has gone down. So for us, it's a good alternative to other things on the market for him.
All right, so you got arthritis, shoulder pain, Lyme disease, digestion, stress. This product addresses all these issues?
Different systems do.
Different systems.
Yeah, there's three.
On the core system that Danielle just talked about, I'd like to reference that.
Sure.
I had my shoulder cut in 5 different spots. I was written up in the New England Journal of Medicine from an old sporting injury. Constantly had pain for the last 10, 15 years. After about 6 months on the core system, it diminished my pain probably by 50%. On a scale of 1 to 10, my pain was as much as 7 or 8. I just learned to live with it. Now it's probably a 3 or a 4. So I'm able to move in positions I just couldn't before.
All right.
So
people are benefiting
benefits.
from
big time. Yeah.
Huge
okay.
benefits.
Do you have some testimonials? And I don't know if we can cue this up.
Mike?
Mike maybe could help, or Frank. I think Frank's talking to his wife on the phone.
Can you cue those
if
testimonials?
we can cue these up, we'd love to see the testimonies as we go to that. Okay, now let's talk straight here. This is also what you call a relational marketing situation. I mean, when I think of that, I always think of Amway.
It's a direct sales company.
Direct
yes.
sales company.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, is that part of this? This is non-commercial television, so we can't
Yes.
get into
Right.
send in $39.95 or something like that. But is that something that people benefit from financially as well if they get involved with this, and how does that work?
Well, yes, but the underlying factor is the products have great demand. And when you have great demand for something, and you have the ability to brand yourself, this company is in the phase of branding itself.
How old is the company?
The company is 3 years old.
Okay.
We're just starting to get some market penetration. The stories, the testimonials are starting to come in all over the country.
Absolutely.
And with that, we're getting to a point where we're branding ourselves, and we work out of our home. We have a home-based business, and we're able to, it's an affiliate program, no different than what an Amazon has or an eBay. You talked about Amway being a direct sales company. Yeah, there are a handful of companies that have gone on to become household names. Companies that have been around for 10 or 20 years and do billions of dollars in sales. This company, I humbly feel, has all the necessary criteria to become a huge thing. They've got a management team, a CEO who has built some of the largest brands in the natural products world that anyone's ever seen. He created Nature's Way. Nature's Way is the second largest natural products retail brand in the world. He was the CEO of that company. So he has a track record, he has experience, he has business acumen. They have products that have great science, and that's why we're involved.
Is there? I know there seems to be sort of like I don't want to say a conflict, but there's doctors and hospitals and prescription medicine and surgery and that whole realm, and then there's this whole holistic realm where what you're proposing here. This isn't medication that you're applying. These
are natural products that are scientifically validated. That's what's incredibly important to understand.
Yeah.
In the natural products world, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were about to say pharmaceuticals, synthetic drugs, and natural products, almost hocus pocus type thing.
Well, yeah, but I get the same thing with chiropractics and some of this holistic medicine and health food and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was watching on CBS News just last night. There's this guy that lives to be 104. And they asked him, do you exercise? And he goes, no, not that much, no. And he said, did you smoke? Yeah, I smoked until I was like 45 or 50. He's 104 years old. I don't know if you saw it. It was on CBS News. And he goes, what's your favorite one? He goes, I like hamburgers. I like it rare. I eat rare hamburgers. And he's like an Ashkenazi Jew, and that this particular grouping of people from Eastern Europe lived to be whatever. A lot of people thought it was yogurt. But,
that might be a blue zone. And what happens around the country, there are different blue zones around the world. And in those blue zone areas, they see that different people have lower incidences of disease. They tend to have longer life expectancy. And many times it can be traced back to something that they take in their daily regimen.
Yeah.
Lots of times it can be a tea. They take a tea that has some different properties that help with the quality of their health. And Kivana has products that fall into those categories.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to say it's hocus pocus or something like that, because I do. I mean, there's a whole nother realm of this, and I'm a member of Walnut Hill Community Church, and when people are sick, we pray for them.
Right.
And people say, prayer, come on, you just need to have good surgery or something like that. But I'll tell you, people really benefit from that. I mean, if you go on hospital visits and you can't, is it God that's miraculously working in? I happen to believe it is. But at the same time, it's something that's sometimes looked down upon by the medical community or something like that. And maybe in some ways like this can be as well.
If I may.
Please.
We actually, I'm Christian as well, believer, and we actually started a Kivana prayer call every Monday night that people who are in our company get to call in. We pray for one another. We cover the company in prayer, and it's something that we really believe is important.
Yeah.
And I've just from the year I've been in, my husband and I were devastated in the construction industry. I'm a licensed realtor. We own 2 small businesses outside of that. And we almost lost our home. We were in foreclosure. So this was just an opportunity that came about. Our accountant told us about it, and we looked at it as an opportunity to be at the ground floor of something that we believe will go global.
Yeah.
And it's been exciting. But when you talked about the hocus pocus in the market,
he said hocus pocus.
Okay, sorry.
I was trying to be
When Chris said that, I want to just say
because there's
the market for us is what we're seeing is if you look at the traditional doctors and what they're starting to do, even Dr. Oz, he's a traditional MD who's now, everything on his show that you see is about looking at what's from the earth or from animals or from the farm that actually can help proactively build your immunity, that can detoxify your body, that can strengthen you instead of putting things that aren't that are synthetic in your body. So that's what we are all about, is putting healthy things in your body that are going to make you feel better. And that's really what we're all about. And I think that's where the world is headed.
Yeah,
we're looking for an answer.
All these products they're not synthetic. It's all,
100%
pharmaceutical
natural.
grade natural products.
100% natural.
I'm supposed to say, I'm saying like there's some Olympians that are involved in this, Olympic athletes.
We actually have 10 Olympic gold medalists who
they use this product.
That are independent business owners like Danielle and I.
Okay.
What happens, they've been approached by thousands and thousands of companies, lots of times for endorsement deals.
Right.
And in one conversation was with Mike Eruzione, who was the captain of the U.S. Olympic hockey team.
I know.
Miracle on Ice.
Do you believe in miracles?
And Mike is a tremendous guy. He had some blood pressure issues and cholesterol, and we just asked him to get on the products, try it. And in getting on, he had improved health. And he picked up the phone and called his buddy Dan Jansen, who called Bonnie Blair, and then we got Jackie Joyner-Kersee and Nadia Comaneci and Bart Connor.
Is that, and they're all...
Everyone is an independent business owner with Kivana.
And they just did a national magazine with us.
Mike Eruzione, any of you know the greatest athletic event that ever took place in 1980, defeat of the Russians at Lake Placid with the U.S. hockey team.
Scored the winning goal.
Scored the winning goal. I guess his family was in the heating business, and he said if that puck was 2 inches to the right, I'd be banging tin the rest of my life. I guess he's a motivational speaker. Carla, you have a question for Danielle Rich or Chris Cavadon? Go ahead.
Yeah, how long have you guys been in business in Connecticut, and how hard was it to get set up and start a business in Connecticut?
That's interesting. Thank you. Yeah, Connecticut's been known as one of the most business unfriendly community or states in the nation. But what have you found?
When I was introduced, there was very little going on in Connecticut, and that was April of last year. And we were just so enthusiastic about what we had in our hands that the business started to really explode in this area. Connecticut is now #1 in sales outside of, I think Florida was the first state, and we are just rocking it. Chris is where he is in Rhode Island. This whole Northeast is really on fire and enthusiastic about what's happening with their health. And so it is easy to get started, and we have great training. So we have a lot of great leaders and
that's one thing.
support.
I went on your website and looked at some YouTube videos about it. There's a lot of concept of like team, like we're in this together.
Absolutely.
There's like a team. We're doing this together. We're
Yeah.
and I don't know, people might benefit from that. So there are some financial benefits. Again, we're non-commercial, public access radio, so we're not asking you to send in money or anything like that. But if people do want to get in touch with you, I don't know if they have it on there, but it's truehealthwealth.com. Truehealthwealth.com. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. Or you can go on the Quivana website, which is just QIVANA.com. Oh, it's up there right now. Okay, so those are the numbers that they can call. Is it something where people can make a living at this? Is it like
Absolutely.
a side stream of money? Or I mean, I see these multi-level marketing programs,
Yes, sir.
relational marketing programs, and you always see some guy, and he always looks very well fed in a well upholstered chair in a successful room and with a yacht out back, and he says how I'm just making tons of money, it just rolls in. Is that kind of how this works, or?
It's important for people to understand realistic expectations and
Right.
logic. The industry of network marketing has a bad rap. There's been 50,000 plus companies that have used this channel to bring a product or a service to the online consumer for the last 50 years. There's really only been about 15 companies that you'd want to be associated with.
Right.
Companies that went on to become household names. Companies that have done billions of dollars in revenue. Now, when I said earlier that I believe Quivana has the necessary criteria, they absolutely do. Now, if that's the case, they'll take this brand and develop this brand here in the United States and then take it globally. So to have a home-based business, and remember, you get paid a percentage of sales of a distribution channel that you're able to develop. Now, you might start that in Connecticut, might leapfrog across the country and then around the world. And the reason someone can point to a yacht or point to a lifestyle that most people don't believe is because they have real leverage. They're getting paid in dozens of countries, dozens of states. A home-based business is absolutely something with the right company that people should pay attention to.
I'll tell you, there may be a little bit of a stigma associated with it, but I was just at a Memorial Day parade in Ridgefield, Connecticut, and they have the Rotary Club come down, and the Kiwanis, and the Shriners, and the Chamber of Commerce, and stuff like that. And when you really think about it, and you dabble in some of these groups, it's all sort of networking at the same time. It just happens to be the pediatrician or the roofer or the real estate agent that's, getting out there, meeting other people, and it's all kind of relational, business to business.
Absolutely.
And I think, that's what you guys are doing, but it's the same thing other businesses do as well.
Right.
I don't know, maybe you're just more strategic and intentional about it.
I think the reality is word-of-mouth advertising is the most powerful way to build any sort of business.
Yeah.
And here with Comcast, I used the bathroom and I saw that Comcast has a program, refer a friend, and we'll compensate you.
Yeah.
All Quivana says is we've got products that everyone should be consuming.
Yeah.
And if you introduce someone who's going to consume these products, we'll compensate you. Simple.
Yeah.
It's a simple equation.
Yeah. All right, just a little background. What did you do in your normal life before this, or what do you do? Or
I was a financial advisor and a real estate developer.
Okay.
And when the real estate market turned over and I woke up one night and everything that we owned was worth 30% less.
I woke up that same night.
Yeah.
It's like, don't worry about it. Put that front porch on your house, because
That's
anything
right.
you put into your house is going to be fine. You'll be fine.
It doesn't make it too fun to sleep.
I'm telling you, it's like my wife and I are just sitting there going, we have a painting business, and we bought the building that we work out of down in Port Chester, New York. And it's like, oh, great, we got this business empire. It's going to grow. We're going to cash in. It's going to be great. Now I'm sitting in a 5-bedroom house. Me and my cats were wandering around eating bologna. What happened? I'm sorry, I
That's
digress.
how we felt.
But so that did that prompt looking around for other business opportunities?
Absolutely. It prompted for the ability to have an unlimited upside with a fixed, risk. There's no risk associated.
Yeah.
Work out of the house. And when you work out of the house, and you can build a brand that goes around the world. You know, here's the bottom line, Marty. I'm convinced that this company is going to be a $3 or $4 billion brand some point in the next 10 years. And if that's the case, and myself or Danielle or anyone who looks into this realizes if they could be a contributing factor to building that brand and getting a piece of revenue that comes from all over the world, the only reason someone won't do this is because they don't understand it.
That's right. And Danielle, how about you? How long have you been associated with this?
Just April of last year.
Okay, so a little over a year. You've
Right.
been doing it. Okay,
And
and what are the early results? Be honest now. I don't want to hear the sugar-coated
No,
stuff.
she's got some great.
All right, go ahead.
You want to say?
No, go ahead.
Just took off out of the gate. Started calling. I just made a list of friends and family who I thought could benefit.
Right.
And I was so enthusiastic about what I saw, the upside potential of what it could do for my husband and I. At 51, he was laying there. We couldn't sleep at night, and he said, construction's dead. And then my parents are both realtors, so we couldn't lean on them. My sister's a mortgage broker. She lost her home to subprime and everything. And so we were like, you know, what does our family do? We're all entrepreneurial. We're go-getters. We need to put ourselves in a market that's booming. And wellness is a $1.9 trillion market. It's not slowing down. It's growing during recession. And we believe in natural products. And so we got on the phone and we started inviting people to hear about it. And it just really exploded. We've got a team in 17 states right now and 2 countries.
Wow.
So it's really been a very exciting year. We're just close to
the trip you want.
We want a trip to Italy, Greece, and Croatia. We want a car bonus. You know, just things that we haven't been able to do for 5 years. It's really renewed our house.
How was Greece? You know, the riding is so good in
Haven't been
the
yet.
spring.
We're going in November.
Okay.
We're going in November.
Okay, I'm just kidding about that. Okay, you see, I'll put up the website one more time. I want to thank you very much for coming in, Danielle and Chris. I wish you guys all the luck in the world. I know Frank is very involved in this, and he's the man. Just briefly, next week, we have a real honor. There was a Norwich University grad who was a United States Navy SEAL who unfortunately died in a helicopter crash about a year ago, and they're having a golf outing for him in Stamford, and we're going to have a chance to meet some of his family members and just talk a little bit about Brian R. Bill, Norwich grad from 2001. So he'll be on, as well as the Boys and Girls Club from Ridgefield, Connecticut, some of their Keystone Award-winning kids. You saw them last year. There's a whole new crop this year. That's the future. So they're going to be on next week. And thanks again for watching the Marty Heiser Show, and we'll see you next week where you always get the truth. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And in the 1st District, vote for that John guy. He's a tall drink of water. He'll do fine. All right. Thank you.
That's great.
And now we're still on.